Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss returning, Bryan Danielson injured ahead of All In, my review of Raw and more. I'm Luke Owen and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
SummerSlam is just around the corner and there's plenty of speculation that we could see the return of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso and even potentially The Rock. However, they are the only names high on the expected to return soon list. With Mercedes Moné now in AEW and Becky Lynch away from wrestling since her contract expired, Bayley is the only horsewoman in WWE right now. And that's because Charlotte Flair hasn't been seen on TV since last December, where she suffered a serious knee injury. However, she recently posted a video on her Instagram of her training at the Performance Center hinting at an in-ring return. But don't get too excited, as Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful noted on his Backstage Report podcast on their Patreon page that he expects it may be another 2 to 3 months before Flair gets back in the ring on a full-time basis, which would put her return at around Survivor Series. Similarly, many fans have been expecting the return of Alexa Bliss, especially since the Wyatt 6 faction debuted last month. Bliss has been off TV since early 2023 for maternity leave. And like Flair, Bliss also posted videos on social media showing that she's getting back in the ring training, but also again like Flair, Sean Ross Sapp has reported via the Backstage Report podcast, "I haven't heard of plans for Alexa Bliss coming back as of now." How would you bring back Bliss and Flair? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you are down there, click the link to get your tickets to watch SummerSlam with us live and in person, as we've once again partnered with Hooked on Wrestling to be at their Shoreditch watch party. We'll be doing live reactions from the venue, which will air live on the WrestleTalk News channel. But while WWE are preparing for SummerSlam this weekend, AEW are getting ready for their biggest show of the year, All In at Wembley Stadium. The main event of the show will see Bryan Danielson wrap up his time as a full-time wrestler, facing Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. Danielson was announced for a promo segment on tomorrow's Dynamite, which should kickstart the build for this big-time matchup. But if you're wondering why the build has felt a bit slow, is, according to Fightful Select, it's because Danielson is dealing with injuries heading into the match, which are preventing him from participating in some things that were originally planned. AEW posted a video to their YouTube channel where Doc Sampson revealed that he did not want Danielson wrestling at All In, and Fightful are reporting this is in fact a shoot, and there had been some heavy restrictions put on him by AEW doctors leading in to the main event at All In. It's also a shoot that his contract with AEW ends on August 1st. However, Fightful add in their report that there are active plans for Danielson to continue with AEW post All In, and that he will remain a part-time wrestler for AEW once his contract ends. Before we jump into the Raw review, we're now in the final stretch for this season of the Monday Night War, where we've been playing WWE 2K24's MyGM mode. And here's what you've missed so far. Welcome to the Monday Night War.
Oh my god, I've done it!
And I've got a level 2 rivalry without
good.
even having to try.
Yeah.
So
that is a big show for you. 2.5, half, 1.5, 2.
Oh, great. Yeah, nice one. Me running trips. Cock ass. It's an actual
I have noise cancelling headphones. That's how loud this breakdown is. Just being nosy at the rosters, I didn't even notice the time, and then it went off, and I was like, oh, I haven't pressed start!
Oh, did you go over time then?
By like 4 seconds.
Oh! Oh! Oh my god!
And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka the go-home edition for SummerSlam. Not that it felt like one edition of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. The show opened with a big promo segment between Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, who had on big, puffy ref outfit.
I like your sleeves. They're real big.
Seth reminded both men that they cannot touch each other in this segment because it would be too sexy. I mean that the match would be called off, and said that he will have a lot of leniency in their SummerSlam match, so few chances of DQs or countouts. Punk and Drew traded verbal barbs, but this felt like it was treading a lot of the same water that we've covered in the feud already. This story has had way hotter angles, so this one didn't have the fire needed to push the anticipation over the edge. Not that it needs it, I suppose. It's easily my most anticipated match on SummerSlam, but this was a fairly standard go-home segment in what has been WWE's feud of the year. With that said, I've seen some people call this generational, so maybe it's just me. The Judgment Den was trashed, and they think it was Liv Morgan, who also broke poor Carlito's PS5. Hopefully he had all of his saves backed up to the cloud. The Alpha Academy took on the Creeds in a match where the crowd was super into Otis, but not much else. And the Creeds got the win by pinning him. Maxine slapped Gable after the match, and the Wyatt Six ka-chunked their way down to the ring to take off their masks and get physical. Gacy and Dexter did tag moves, meaning they'll probably be the tag team of the group, and Rowan laid out out both the Creeds with a crossbody. Cole said that Nikki Cross was Sister Abigail, so looks like we've been wrong in thinking she was Abby the Witch. Gable escaped but ran into Uncle Howdy, who chuckled to himself. Later, Gable and the Creeds challenged Rowan, Dexter, and Gacy to a match on Raw next week, which will be the in-ring debut for the faction. This was another cool angle for the group, and it was really awesome seeing them get physical. Their match next week will be super interesting, as many people's fears over this faction has been, well, what happens when the bell rings? We also got a VHS later in the show which featured Loomis yelling at people to run when they see the buzzard circling. I was kind of hoping we'd get more interviews like the ones that Bo and Rowan did in these VHS tapes rather than just 2 weeks of people screaming. Sheamus and Bronson Reed had a big beefy boy brawl, got there in the end, and Pete Dunne hit Shamo with the shillelagh, allowing Reed to pick up the win with the tsunami. I miss Barrett calling that move. Damian Priest cut a video promo on Gunther saying that he lived to get everything he has and he'll die to keep it. Cool line. And Bron Breakker had a video promo about Sami Zayn's comedy career. Carlito was supposed to arrange a match between him and Sami Zayn, but he got Dominic booked in that position instead. As a form of punishment, brackets Martinez, the Judgment Day suggested that he take on Jey Uso. He did, and he lost. Jey speared him, and he spat out some apple. Zelina Vega was attacked by Sonya and friends backstage, and The Miz announced that he will be the host of SummerSlam, and did some comedy with R-Truth. I guess the pay-per-view needs a host or something. By the way, it's a 3-hour pre-show this weekend. They announced that, although Kofi Kingston wrestled in Japan, he got injured again, so Woods was alone to face Karrion Kross in the feud that appears to be going nowhere, and Kross won again. They've been feuding since the start of June, and I'm ready for them to just get there. They are still in Chapter 1. This is not long-term storytelling, it's a story that's taking a long time to tell. Jackie interviewed Sami Zayn, who said the SummerSlam won't be about teaching lessons, it'll be about standing tall, and Liv Morgan burned all of Dominic Mysterio's stuff and said that she'll complete her revenge tour at SummerSlam. Rhea cut a promo later saying that she's on a revenge tour of her own. Sami Zayn and Dominic Mysterio were having a decent match that, of course, ended in DQ. Boo! Judgment Day interfered and Jey Uso ran down to make the save, and I feel like I've transported back to late 2023. Bron Breakker tried to attack Sami Zayn, but Zayn kept foiling his ambush attempts. This was a good angle, and Sami raised the belt at the end of the segment, signaling that his time as champion is coming to an end. In our only women's match on the show, Do Better WWE, Sonya and friends beat Lyra and the Party Girls. Damage Control returned, and they did a promo about running the show, a phrase that I'm ready to cast into the ocean. Dakota Kai challenged Sonya Deville to a match next week. And the main event saw Gunther beat Finn Balor in a, surprisingly, first time ever match. They told a good story, and Gunther choked Balor out. He refused to let go of the hold after the match, and he brawled with Damian Priest to close the show. It was a fine edition of Raw. Some good wrestling, some good promos, but nothing you need to go out of your way to watch if you haven't already. It's funny because SmackDown was a boring show because it was taped in advance, but this show felt like it was also taped ahead of time. This felt like it was more in the post-Mania slump than it did a few weeks back when the show felt alive again. Now go and watch Monday Night Raw from the very start and catch up before the final episode.
What are you talking about with your injured son? You're not seeing everybody else that's not on the show! They're all popular people! Oh, I've got no one to book! That says otherwise, mate. I scrambled to make that show because I didn't have enough people! Are you high? She's 90 popularity! You're talking about stamina! She's 78 popularity! Like, you have got stars with stamina! The f*** are you complaining about? I've got a champion who's on 18, Pete! 18!
Charlotte who just jacked
Charlotte won't do anything, Peter. Oh, with my 90 popularity. No, oh dear, she's now at 60 health. Oh, what am I going to do next week? Probably put her in a f***ing match, Pete.